Alright guys, so here's the review of the Baltany S5050, or what it's probably going to be more commonly known as the Tuxedo Chronograph. So it comes in the usual Baltany packaging, so I'll quickly get the watch out of the way, briefly show that on the way past, because you've probably seen it before, so we're not going to go into detail on it, but they are handy. And here's the actual watch. So, as with a lot of Baltany pieces, it's a vintage kind of style, and I do really like this one, something a little bit different from a lot of the field watch style ones they go for. So, when it came out, I definitely had to check it out. And then it's on this vintage kind of style leather strap, which I think suits the watch perfectly. But if you're not keen on this colour, they actually do it in a different colour as well. But before we get into this in any more detail, let's go over the dimensions first. So we've got a diameter of 39mm, thickness of 12.4, lug width of 20, and the all-important lug to lug is coming in at 46.6. In terms of weight, on this supplied leather strap, it's coming in at 70 grams. So I know that some people might say 39 is quite big for a vintage style watch. They probably would have preferred something like a 37 or something. But I think this works. But yeah, 37 would have been nice. That being said though, there is quite a lot going on this dial. So if it was a 37mm, it might have looked a little bit too crowded, I think. A little too cluttered. I think with this 39, it works pretty well. So you can see you've got a nice, slightly curved crystal on this. Adds a little bit of distortion right on the edges. Another nice little detail is the fact that they've put their silver surround around the subdials. Do appreciate that, which catches the light nicely and matches the high polish on the hands as well. You've probably also noticed the chrono hands on the subdials and the main chrono hand are actually blued. They aren't just painted blue, they are actually blued, heat treated. So, depending on the angle you get it on, they'll either look black or you'll get that nice blue. And then that blue is mirrored in the text on the dial as well. So around the outside you can see we've got that nice light blue which matches it. And it's a fully printed dial, nothing applied. So when it comes to the colours on the dial, we've got that vintage off-white in the centre. And then obviously the black around that with the numbers on. And then on the outside of that we've got the vintage kind of off-white again with that blue text that I mentioned earlier. When it comes to the subdials, the one at the 9 o'clock we've got the 60-minute chrono. And then the one at the 3, we've got the 24-hour, which isn't my favourite, but unfortunately that's just the way it is with this movement, and the movement in this is the VK64. Not really the most useful of complications, but I guess it looks good at least. Flicking around to the side, you can see we've got a polished centre case, well, centre section of the case, which does gather fingerprints a bit. That is nicely finished though, and then the upper part of the case is brushed. You can see we've also got a sterile crown, no logo or anything on that. I do like that they've broken up the case, it's not fully polished. When it comes to the buckle, we've got a brushed buckle, so it's matching part of the case at least. I do appreciate the fact that it's brushed and not polished, definitely prefer that. And then when it comes to the strap, as I said, it's a vintage style leather one, with the stitching and the Baltany branding on the back. And then we've got a sterile screw down case back, which will help with that 50-metre water resistance. And it is a genuine leather strap as well. Nice and comfortable. So now, let's see whether we've got sapphire crystal on this. Using the trusty Diamond Selector 2. And yep, we have got sapphire crystal. So, always good to see. And when it comes to that crystal, it isn't completely flat. It is actually ever so slightly curved. I know some people prefer flat crystals, but I personally like a little bit of curvature at least. But obviously saying that, I'm a bit of a sucker for a really domed crystal, so maybe I'm the odd one out. So now, let's show you this movement in action. So we've got a nice grippy crown there, so we'll unscrew that. Pop it out. We've actually got a ghost date position on this, because the VK64 has a date function, which obviously this style doesn't have. So we'll have to pull it out again. And then we can just change the time. Pop it back in. And then obviously just screw it back down. It's a mecha quartz movement, so no need to unwind it or anything. So now let's show you the chrono in action. So press this top pusher to start it. And then we've got that almost smooth sweep, kind of mimicking automatic. Hence why it's called mecha quartz. Press it again to stop it, and then press the bottom one, and then it snaps back. All works well, lines up perfectly, no issues whatsoever. Oh, I forgot to mention, if you're not keen on the Baltany branding on this, you can actually get a custom dial option on their website at least. I'm not sure if they do it on AliExpress, but I'll leave links to both down in the description so you can check them both out and find out. Obviously if you do opt to do that, you're going to have to pay extra for it, but I don't think it's too expensive. So all it's left to do now, show you what it's like on wrist, then we'll go over the pros and cons, and then you can decide whether you want to pick one of these up or not. So here's what it looks like on my 7-inch wrist, and I think it looks really good. I think the strap suits the watch perfectly as well, that vintage style, and the colours match nicely too. The black on the dial being mirrored with the strap. I think that's why this strap is the better option of the two. The other one's more like a tan kind of colour. You can see the nice different layers there in the case, so it's almost like that stepped bezel. A mixture of brushed and polished, as I mentioned earlier. Just catching the light nicely. Just adds a bit of interest. As do those polished hands and those polished rings around the subdials as well. Do really like them. Conforms to wrist nicely as well, with that curvature to the lugs. When it comes to issues I have with it, I would have preferred if they'd use a different movement so we didn't have that pretty much useless 24-hour subdial. But other than that, I can't really think of much else. I think it's a really well done piece. It looks really good, wears really nicely. Baltany are really good at this kind of style of watch, the vintage style. They always nail it pretty much. Never really had a bad one. So the question is, do you agree with me? Or are you seeing more issues that are stopping you wanting to buy this? If not, and you are interested, don't forget links will be down in the description to the website and also the AliExpress link as well. And don't forget, if you do buy it from the website, they also offer that custom dial, if you do want to sort that out. Because I know some people do like to customise the dials and bits and pieces on the watches. Don't know if they can do all the bits like the case back or anything. You'd have to check, find out. But all the information will be on the website. If you like your more vintage style watches, but this one isn't for you, Baltany have got plenty of others that I've reviewed, so I'll leave a link to some of those at the end, and the link down in the description to the playlist as well, so you can find what you do like. But that's it for this one, guys. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.